Hello everyone, welcome back to the Building Workspace in Public. In the previous episode, we have looked at the layered architecture of the employee service and understood the role of the controller, repository, services, entity, and DTO. Today, we are going to know one level deeper into something that comes up very frequently in the Java and Spring Boot interviews. Inside why we like in the mostly interview they will ask why I am using a Java record for my DTOs but not a Java class for my entities. Now, and more importantly, what is actually happening behind the scene? Let's start with the DTO. In the employee service, we have a DTO class uh, like request or response. If we open the employee response, we can see our class is created with the call record, not a normal entity as we are creating as a class. So employee resource is a record class. Secondly, if we say we have the long ID, first name, first last name, email, and all the fields. In our employee response, state of creating a traditional class with field, constructor, getter, setter equals, hash code, or toString method, we use a Java record. The record gives us much more concise way of representing the data. Now I will show you how we are calling these classes and data into the other classes. Like if we go to the employee mapper, generally we call details from this mapper class. Instead of calling directly like how we usually call entities with the getter method. If you see we have an employee which is an entity class. If I go inside the employee, you can see it is a normal class. Inside this class, we have the ID, first name, last name, every fields available similar to the DTO. But whenever we are calling the object of employee class, we will be inside the mapper. We will be having the employee object which is created and we are using this get method. But if you see for the records, what we have done is like the record is the request request is the record class. If we are calling it, we are not calling it by a getter method. Instead, we are calling directly by its field name, which is called first name. Request dot first name, request dot last name, request dot email. That means records are not allowing us to use the get first name or get last name. Like if we can I can show you an example. Instead of that, we are calling just get first name. Get first name. How we used to call for the entities. You can see we are getting an error that is no candidate found for this method called request.getName. This is generally because we are getting a compile time error as it is a record class and we cannot access it by a getter method. We can access it by just calling the field name. Similarly, if we use the same record class to set a value, we will getting the error again that no candidate found for the method called request.setFirstName. So that means setter is also not allowed. Like we cannot modify the records. So by this we can conclude that the records are immutable. Like one important concept of records are they are immutable. You cannot manipulate or you cannot change the data which is coming from the APIs or we are responding back to the API once the DTO data has created. So does the records have setter? No. Does the record have getter? No. We can call it by having a field name directly. So that means records are designed to be immutable. Once we created an object, we cannot change its component. Then if I need a different value, I need to create a new record object. Not again, like if we need some specific value, we can create a record directly with a new value. For example, like I can create a record like this. So here I am creating or updating a record directly and I am implementing, giving the values. Why it is not coming as we have not defined a constructor for this. But this time we can do the same thing for the records as well. Now That means a new object will be created for each and every entity, not a singleton object will be created. In normal Java class, we can, if we are creating a DTO with a normal Java class, we can create number and numbers of object, or we can set or get DTOs directly. This can violate the issue because not a violate issue, it can also applicable, but for the new feature after Java 17, we are getting the records and it help us to make our work with the DTO more precisely. Now let's look an entity class. If we have this entity class, you can see we have a all the data setters, right? Inside that we have a getter method, we have a setter method, we already defined here. So it's look like entity. I am using normal Java class instead of record. That is intentionally. Why? Because an entity represents the persistent data managed by the JPA and the Hibernate. During its life cycle, the entity can be created, loaded from the database, modified, and persistent again. So having mutable state is generally appropriate for the entities. Now I can give you a small DTO versus entity as DTO represent the API data, whereas entity represent the persistent data. DTO will be a record class and can be used. In entity, we can use a normal entity class. For DTO is a immutable, entity is usually a mutable. DTO not having setter, entity can be have setter. DTO API contract and entity is a database model. That means the important thing is that DTO and entity have a different responsibility. The entity represent our database model and the DTO represent our data we can exchange through our API. That's why we don't simply expose our entity directly from the controller. If you see in the controller as well, we are not exposing our entity class directly. We are using the mappers, and inside the mappers we have the DTOs. So we are not exposing our our entity to the controller. Why not to return entity directly? Imagine our employee entity later gets a field in the entity. If why we are not exposing it is like in the later session, if we get a salary or some internal code password related field. So if we are exposing entity to the controller directly, it is violating, like it will be giving our confidential data to the outer APIs, which is not applicable, which is not recommended. So if we are returning the entity directly from our API, we could accidentally expose our information that shouldn't be the part of the API response. So by using DTO, we can explicitly decide what information the client should receive. Similarly, in the real world persistive, this separation becomes very more important in a large application. Your data structure can change without necessarily changing your API contract. Similarly, the API response can evolve without directly changing the database model. This gives us a better separation of concern and makes the application easier to maintain. That's a day. And now engineering insight of the day. DTO represent what we want to communicate. Entity represent what we want to persist. They may contain similar data, but they serve different purpose. AI tip of the day. One usually way I use for AI is to ask to review whether I am exposing database entity directly through my REST API. For example, retrieve the Spring Boot API and identify whether any JPA entities are being exposed directly to my controller, or suggest any appropriate DTO structure. But I always review and recommend it myself before I apply any concept. Interview question of the day. Why should you use the record for the DTO but not necessarily for the JPA entity? A record is designed for a consigned immutable data represent which make its code fit for the many DTOs. JPA entity on the other hand are managed through their life cycle by JPA Hibernate and commonly requires mutable state, a non-argument constructor and other entity specific behavior. Therefore, a normal Java class is generally a better fit for the entity and a record class better fit for the DTO. These are the more learning insight or points which we are using nowadays after Java 17. Hope you like this video. Hope this learning will be useful in you in future, and keep in touch and learn new things every day. Thank you. Have a nice day and keep learning.